be a waiter. I started waiting tables when I was 16 years old, and I did it all the way through college, right up until I started law school. And those experiences are the basis of this speech tonight. So, I'm from a small town called Teague, Texas, represented by that red dot. And contrary to the size of that dot, Teague is actually a very, very small town. In fact, we just got our first stoplight about 3 years ago. But I mention that so that you can see the lessons I've learned while waiting tables are universal. They can be applied whether you live in a small town like Teague or a big city like OKC. Lessons such as pride, how to smile, or even when to walk away. But tonight, I want to talk about 3 lessons that I think are the most crucial for today's society. First, don't judge a book by its cover. Don't make assumptions about people you don't know. Second, let's work together and learn to communicate. And finally, listening closely. So the first lesson is don't make any assumptions. That makes a you-know-what out of you, not me. When I waited tables, you would be surprised at the number of people who would treat you like crap just because you were a waiter. But for me, that was just a temporary job to help me get through college. Now, I'm not saying I was a superhero in disguise by any means, but I wasn't just some punk kid that was waiting tables to make beer money. I was doing it to help me get through college and to get a degree and educate myself, make something of myself. But people didn't know that. They just made assumptions. And I knew this from the condescending and snide remarks that they would make or the way they'd talk about me when I walked away behind my back. So I implore you, don't make assumptions. Because the person you make an assumption about, they may be the next Einstein, they may be the person who discovers a cure for cancer, or maybe closer to home, maybe they're going to be a teacher that's going to have a positive impact on the lives of hundreds of kids. But if you can't help it, and you have to make an assumption, take Abraham Lincoln's advice and assume that everybody is doing the best they can for themselves, for their family, and for the community at large. This next lesson I want to talk about is how to work with others. Working with others is essential to achieving the things that we truly want and desire out of this life. And yet, so often these days, people seem to think that others are just in my way, and I'm looking out for number one. But that's not true. Working with others makes life not only easier, but much better. When you work with others, you don't sacrifice the things that you want or need. In fact, working with others helps you achieve most of what you want and desire out of life. And isn't achieving more out of life better than getting nothing but bitterness and frustration? So how do we work together better? The key is communication. We have to learn to communicate with one another. As far as we've evolved in humanity, we have not become mind readers, as my girlfriend so often tells me. And so we have to communicate so that people know what we want and what they want. And finally, close listening. What is close listening? It's being attentive when somebody is talking or speaking and truly focusing on what they're saying and not being preoccupied with something else. Close listening is not putting your ear right up next to somebody's mouth, because one, that would be weird, and two, you would probably start suffering from swimmer's ear the way some people talk. But close listening is crucial to working together and communicating because it breaks down these communication barriers that we have. People expect you to be responsible for what they say, not what you hear or want to hear. This is the difference between bringing a hefty woman or man a Diet Coke when they clearly ask for a regular. So close listening is crucial because when somebody says something, it could mean a number of different things. And if you take it out of context and you're not focused, you could miss the message. So what's the takeaway lesson here? The takeaway is something that everybody knows. It's not listening closely or communicating or working together or not judging. It's something that waiting tables for 6 months can bring to the forefront of your mind. And that is, be the kind of person you want to meet. It's as simple as the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That's it. But in today's me society, it seems that we forget this so often. And my experience waiting tables is that can bring that message to the forefront of our mind and affect our daily lives. Because, ladies and gentlemen, love and cupcakes is not all you need. You have to rely on others to help you get through this life and make it worth living. And with that, I thank you.